to get to that stage before you now start to plant intelligence processes?
The first premise you are building everything on is false. The premise that there is no interagency rivalry in foreign intelligence agencies is wrong. That means you are not current with what is going on in the intelligence or security world. What happened when we found out much later that there were no war weapons of mass destruction in Iraq?
Was that as a result of bribery?
Of course, yes. Did you not read the reports that followed? Now, it is a question of let us not get into being nitpicking and fault finding excessively until we know. What you don't know about, be careful how you assert things. Look, right now, we know the nation was not prepared in the beginning. Well, we also know the nation is now retooling and reinventing. But when you came over here, when you came to your new site in Channels, you had so many glitches. You're still suffering glitches. Sometimes you have to run back to the old studio. That is, when you are reinventing anything, you will still come across stumbling blocks.
Well, most of those things are actual speculations, honestly, because the report, if we had to go back to the international scene, they're actual speculations, what you've just said here. Because
what are speculations?
When we talk about
like what?
No weapons of mass destruction, it wasn't as a result of rivalry. It was as a result of some kind of intelligence sharing. That is fact, and it can be verified. But again, now we're talking about solutions. Even though we're talking about glitches and the likes now, shouldn't we be talking about how best, in a case of where we don't have any kind of data, we should be talking about how best for the time being. That's why they say for the immediate now, what should we be doing as a nation?
Well, first of all, let's go on things straight. Do you expect, say, the NSA, even when it came here, to unfold all the strategies and tactics that they have or they're deploying to you or to the public? How secure would that information make Nigeria? Do you expect to know if you are not? There's something called a need-to-know basis. And on that need-to-know basis, you can only know so much. And at the moment, I know, because I am involved in certain things or to certain levels, that the country, like I said, is retooling. If we are, for example, importing systems for monitoring people and so on, it takes time.
So in other words, the president should not have made that statement.
What statement?
That the security agencies need to begin to cooperate, share information,
he has to make the statement.
He will wield the big stick.
He has to make the statement.
Why?
That's what I'm saying.
Because they were not cooperating.
That it is a general situation all over the world that intelligence agencies don't normally cooperate until somebody wields a big stick. Now the president has wielded the big stick, and they have begun to cooperate. There's a fusion center now. Now, for you, when you say you have a fusion center, that means you brought everybody onto one board, and that is what they are operating from that platform. So maybe his reprimand helped bring this to be. But the point is, before this, maybe there was, and he saw it, so he corrected it. That's his job. He's a leader.
In other words,
he's the chief security officer of Nigeria.
Okay, but what can you tell us about the balance of leadership of command and control, especially in the middle cadre of security agencies in the country?
Repeat that question.
The balance of command and control structure.
How? I don't understand it. Could you explain that to me?
Working with, for instance, if you go to military personnel, you go to police, we understand that sometimes when, perhaps if you have a colonel and then you have an AIG or a DIG, And then they don't expect the colonel to lead the group comprising of all of those other personnel there. So that friction always pops up.
Well, that's what I said earlier. That's a normal problem between security agencies.
The police says this is not normal, that it has to do with attitude of the military personnel there.
Let's look at it from the angle of Nigeria. And our situation here is peculiar.
Yes.
You say it's a normal situation all over.
Yes.
How can we work out of that normal
scenario? They have worked out already. That's why the president had to call them to order. That is what happens every time in a special crisis period. Somebody wields the big stick and fuses them together, makes them work together. It's not a question of whether they like to or they don't like to.
Okay.
Now then they will have an organogram redrawn in which everybody knows where he's slotted.
Mr. Unranta, in working together here, in what areas are they working together? Is it information sharing? Is it in
information gathering,
arrest and
information sharing, arrests, and in whatever else they have to do? You see, right now, for example, you find that the police and the SSS are working hand in hand with the military intelligence.
Really?
Yes, right now. Now. That is what is happening now. It wasn't happening, it was not going on before. It wasn't going on before because, like I said, look, this is rivalry.
Okay, we get that
rivalry of agencies anywhere.
Give us a background here, so that viewers can also understand. How deep are you involved in all of this security strategy approach?
I'm not
at the government level.
I'm not a security strategist, nor am I a security operative.
Not about any security committee, involved with anyone?
Where I am, what I do. It's enough to know that I'm a public affairs analyst. I think that's enough. I want to believe, for example, that you invited me to the program and you gave me the topic. I want to believe that. I want to believe that you had a reason to believe that I may be privy to security information.